Have you ever rolled into camp and maybe you're the last one into camp and all your good friends took the good spots? Or you went to a bushcraft gathering or a state park and there's just nowhere to set up your shelter. In the spot you want to set up your shelter, there's no trees. There's no trees that you can run a ridge line. And if you do run a ridge line between the trees, people are going to trip over it all night, or maybe even it's just too wide of a spread. Your ridge line's not that long. And then on top of that, it's going to rain. So you want to get hunkered down. What are you going to do? Today I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to set up a freestanding A-frame shelter. Let's get started. Now, why I like shelters like this is it just proves the versatility of a tarp. Carry a tarp, there's so much you can do with it, and once you get good at setting it up in all different configurations, anywhere you go, any time of the year, you got yourself a little shelter. A nice little one. Now, for this, you're gonna, of course, need your tarp, ridge line, a bunch of tent pegs, and the only thing you're gonna have to scrap off the landscape are 2 bipods. Now, they're not gonna take a very heavy load, so it doesn't have to be green wood. It could just be stuff that you find around. And the way you lash them really doesn't matter either, again, because there's not much load on here. Just make sure that the lashing itself doesn't slip when you put a little bit of pressure. Otherwise, I think everybody will be A-okay. Step 1 for this process is to take your tent peg, put your ridgeline loop on it, and just drive it down into the ground. Now the next step, you're gonna take your bipod and you are gonna just place it right here in the ground at the height of the shelter you want. So if you want a higher A-frame, bigger bipod, smaller A-frame, smaller bipod. I almost got tongue twisted there. Now if this is the first time setting up this style shelter, to make it that much easier so you don't have to readjust everything, take your shelter, we're gonna count this as step 1.5, and just lay it out lengthwise so you get a good judgment of how big the shelter is going to be. At this point now, we are gonna run our ridge line longer than our tarp itself. And then when we get beyond that, we're gonna stand up our bipod, making sure it is about the same height as the other bipod. And then we are going to stake out the end. Now, amongst all the shadows and the fall foliage and a beautiful sunny day, you can see that we have a ridge line freestanding, much like a clothesline with 2 bipods on each side. Now simply just lay our tarp over the top, pin out our 4 sides, and we have a freestanding A-frame shelter to sleep in. And then just like that, you have yourself an A-frame shelter. Now what you need to keep in mind is this does look very low to the ground, and there's 2 reasons for that. Number 1, my bipods are small bipods, so they are not very high. If you'd want that peak to be much higher, you're going to need bigger bipods. Secondly, when I decided to set this up, because in my situation, when I use an A-frame shelter the majority of the time, it is due to the fact that it is very inclement weather. So it's either gonna rain or snow, and I just wanna be protected. So I like to be able to get gear on both sides of me down the middle, and with something like this, that's more than enough room that I'm gonna need to just stay protected for the night. All right, so that is it. You can see I have a lot of room in here. I can even kick my legs out to one side, turn way out. I have room on both sides, and the peak is high enough that very easily I can sleep in here for the evening. So something else, another tool for the toolbox, freestanding A-frame shelter. Give it a shot. If you already tried it and you like it, let us know what you think in the comments below. Sorry about all the shadows. Nice fall day.